Have you ever traveled through time? We do it every day.
Asgardia is a country with a population of more than 1 million people from more than 200 countries on Earth. Asgardia gives everyone equal opportunities, no matter what their earthly status is.
It is possible to create and live in the future right now. Are you ready? Forward progress is the solution to the entire human race. Our mission is to bridge new horizons. In Asgardia, there is no limit to the universal development in the fields of technology, finance, and arts. Asgardia is a new space and digital economy which creates opportunities for the global economy. We deliver innovations. Do you want to get on board with us? We are developing various kinds of digital businesses, attracting them to the Asgardia platform that can be backed by the means of our umbrella, i.e. franchising of the Asgardia brand. We can not only attract investments into space programs from prominent institutional investors, but also affordable amounts from the citizens of Asgardia. We comprise of more than 1 million people.
Asgardia is a chance to realize one's dream. This is a dream-driven space nation. Asgardia is a chance to belong to a community of free-thinking enthusiasts, goal-driven dreamers, and fearless innovators, theorists, and scientists.
We are the first space nation. One humanity, one unity.
Asgardia.
We are creating
the future.
It really works, I think. This is the headset I bought, and then I didn't really trust, but everyone says it sounds okay.
Yeah, it
And
does.
it does not break down at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's good.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be that expensive.
This one is about $80 secondhand. I tend to buy secondhand headsets because they. Oh, hello, by the way, Wild. I'm Len Batopic, Chair of Parliament. Thank you, Rebecca. You've gone live. I was talking about headsets. I'll come back to that in a moment. This is the weekly session, which normally lasts between 20 and to 40 minutes, where we discuss matters relating to Asgardia, the world's first space nation. There are no votes. It's not formal, and it's not edited. What you see is what you get. It's all absolutely real. So I hope that you enjoy the show, as we say. Just to finish on the point, the regular viewers know I've had trouble with my headset. This is my old headset. I like it. It's still my friend, but I've got a new headset, and I think it's going to be better. I can see Jose is very pleased about it. Ariadne's given me the thumbs up. That's really important. So so has Jakob, and Peter. He can't quite do it. He gives me this halfway, but just praise from a lawyer. To get that, you have to pay. So if this works, then I've solved the problem. Hopefully for the long term. Hopefully for the long term. So 4 things for you today, and then over to you. A fairly short meeting, I think. But it could be, we'll take as long as we like. First of all, we've now got a date for the Asgardia Legislative Forum. And I want to thank the Chairs Group for pushing me into setting a date for that. It will be Saturday, November 9. Saturday, November 9. Linda, Aliona, please make me do the agenda just as soon as we finish. Perhaps, Aliona, you can send me a list of action steps. Action step 1 is to do the agenda. There are 5 items on that agenda, which are John Fine's legislation, which is coming back for 3rd reading again, because we've got some great amendments, but too late to include them in the previous discussion. 2 from Ria and 2 from Corner. It's really one piece of legislation we'll probably break into 2. So those are the main things there. Number 2, I hope that all of you are excited about the life ship launch to the moon with DNA from those of us who have submitted our DNA. I'm now working on an America tour, or America's tour. It could be South America too, if that makes sense at that time. Two reasons. First of all, if I'm in the United States, it makes sense for me to travel in the north and southern continents of America in order to make the most of the trip. Also, if the launch is delayed, I won't want to change my flight tickets. So then maybe I'll miss the launch, but we can still do this exciting thing. More to follow on that. I'm working with Sarah E.V. Clark on that. And so we'll see where we go with that. I'm pleased that we talked about that at the committee meeting of chairs just now. Thirdly, there will be a digital sitting this year, and I think a physical sitting next year. I say this often because it's really important. I would expect the physical sitting to be in either June or October. There will not be a physical meeting of chairs of committees this year. I've just announced that to the chairs. It makes more sense to have a full executive congress when that happens, with chairs and ministers in the same place. But as it is, we won't be doing that this year. So there'll be one more digital sitting this year. And the fourth and the final thing is that in terms of the previous sitting, all of the documentation has been done. This is more of a formal statement of information to you. All the documentation has been done and will be shared. And there's one new thing in that. John Pine's piece of legislation, Consumer Protection Act, was up for third reading, but because the amendments arrived so late, we had an indicative vote. Let the vote happen, but I'm not putting it forward for decree because we actually need to properly modify it based on the very late feedback that we got. It was good feedback. And this isn't about doing things quickly, it's about doing things right. And so you might be confused if you do read these things about why it says that this was an indicative vote, but there'll be a formal third reading vote at the next sitting. Nothing bad. John understands it. I checked with administration and others about this. Everyone is happy. So there's not a problem with that. Those are the main things. I'm not sure if I've missed. I think I've missed one thing actually. But before I go into that, or maybe Peter can include this in his report. Peter, do you want to share a report from your meeting?
Yeah, thanks, Lambert. We had a usual very friendly meeting. We always do. The chairs of committees get on so well together. We heard some very interesting things from Benedetto Professor with regard to his committee and the Institute of Digital Space. It's just wonderful, some of the things they're doing, talking about the digital time capsules and developing inventions. But I'm not going to spoil his presentation because he's going to be doing a presentation, I think, next week to this meeting. And but it's fabulous. I mean, the thought, the work, the study that's gone into this is just absolutely mind-blowing. So well done. We talked about the next ALF, of course, on the 9th of November. But then we just talked generally around various subjects. It's a great opportunity for the chairs of committees to interact with our chairman of parliament. We have a great chairman of parliament, and that's you, Lambert. There's not another one. And we have a great chairman of parliament. He brings us all our ideas. He feeds us the ideas and inspires us to get on with them. But that was basically all. There's nothing else specific that came out of it. And I can't remember whether you've hit all of your 4 points that you raised earlier, Lambert. I think you have. So that was us, really. And that's me reporting back. Great meeting. Always a good meeting. always a friendly meeting, some great intellectual input, and we'll be doing it again next week.
Peter, very kind words, and I'm glad you've mentioned Benedetto's event, which we now talk about with Benedetto. Over to you, sir.
Hi everyone. The topic is about the Asgardia Project Coordination Institute that we developed with Jakob. And the fact is that today we will test our first project in it, which is the Digital Space Library. And I sent an email to everyone here to see if some of you will participate actively in this project. So if you find back this email and that you want to answer to it, I think that Ugo and his team will be ready to accept you as a new team partner. So that's for the Asgardia Project Coordination Institute.
Thank you, Benedetto. We will have that talk as agreed by the Deputy Chair of Parliament and Benedetto next Thursday. And it could be that we build that into an even bigger conversation at the ALF if that goes very well. Thank you. Anybody else like to raise anything tonight? It's a fairly light agenda today. But John Fine.
Yes, yeah. For the ALF, I was planning on introducing new legislation. I wasn't planning on going over the Consumer Act.
Okay. Oh, yes. I think you need to go through the Consumer Act also. You're quite right.
So
it's
that'd
actually
be-
6. You're right. There are 6 things, because you need to, I think, technically go through the changes in the Consumer Act very briefly because we covered them already. But then you can cover the other piece as well. Yes, sorry, you're right. You're completely correct.
Okay.
And if you'd said that if you'd said that in the previous meeting of chairs, then I would not look like a fool now in front of the world.
I'm sorry, because you didn't, I thought you understood it there because it really wasn't discussed, but what legislation was. But yeah, I got the Antitrust Act that
Yeah.
wanted
process
to introduce.
the process of ALS now is certainly in my mind that we go through everything that's coming up in the next digital sitting. So automatically I think about your third reading as needing to be there. That's why I made that a mission, but you're quite right. So thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter, for letting me sink, crash and burn in front of my Parliament. And thank you, John, for exposing my weakness. Can I make sure on a serious point here to Linda and Aliona, can you make sure that the Asgardia Antitrust Act is included together with the other 5, which are to do with the Consumer Protection Act, the 2 from RIA, which will now become from first reading to second reading, and then also Corner's document, which is currently a single act, but I think we're going to turn it into 2 acts. And Corner, I haven't checked if you're here, but we'll need to talk about that before as well. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to discuss? Ariadne, your headset looks fantastic. Is it new? Good.
Thank you very much.
Is that a new headset? Is it a new headset?
Yes, are rows because I'm a lady. Well, that's good.
It shows how much I pay attention to what I see. So
good to mention me. Good to mention me because I feel so excited with the initiative from Benedetto Professor to create something very structurally for the Digital Space Library. I'm there and I want to promote many things there. And well, thank you. And congratulations to Benedetto for the initiative.
I agree. Thank you very much. And Benedetto, you're next then. Finally, Jakob.
at the end, it is directly related to the Project Coordination Institute because I recently won a first place in an innovation contest for a global cosmetic brands. Out of more than 130 ideas, I was the first. So it was a tech-driven approach to engage healthcare professional in this for this cosmetic brand. And so it is really related to the project coordination. And I think that it's my background that I can bring to the next project we will do all together postcard. Thank you.
Congratulations. I won my first UK essay writing contest in 1982, and it was a United Nations contest about the future. And I was very pleased to do that. But I did not win any money. I just won praise, and then I didn't get any further. Jakob.
Yes, thank you. Just a quick question to check. So the next ALF is on Saturday, 9th of November, 9. Huh? And do we already have a starting time?
1300 UTC till 1800 UTC. I'm making it 1 hour shorter because we almost always finish early. So I'm saying 1300 to 1800 UTC. That seems to be a good time for people. That's why I do that. It's good for the Americans, and even on the West Coast, it's a bit early, but it's better than the middle of the night. And it's just about okay for our friends in the Far East. Okay. Anything else anybody would like to cover today? It's a fairly light agenda, as I say. Ariadne says, I used a meteorite cream. I don't know what the chat is saying, but I hope I haven't broken the law by repeating that. Oh, right. It's because Ariadne, it's a great surprise. NASA is an investor in cosmetics matters. That's interesting. Benedetta, I used to work for Procter & Gamble, a very big US global company. And cosmetics was a big part of that. And I was always impressed with their ethics. So I take what you achieved seriously. Okay, I'm going to any other business. Only 2 points to remind you of. 3. First of all, the ALF will be on the 9th of November from 1300 to 1800 UTC. I'm going to do the agenda tonight because we already know what it is. So I want to make sure that is known to everybody and you don't get it like 2 days before the event. I have to make sure I give you more notice. Secondly, I will organise the date for the final digital sitting of Parliament for this year shortly. I need to check with Head of Nation and Administration and Prime Minister to make sure that we find a date which is acceptable. End of November, excluding Thanksgiving, beginning of December, that's when it will be. And there will be no physical sitting of chairs or anybody else this year. And then connected to that, I expect there will be a physical sitting next year. And finally, last week, those who attended, I thank you for your patience. Just before we started, I discovered that a friend of mine had had some very bad news, a bereavement, in fact. And that's one reason that I left rather suddenly, because I was having to deal with that. The lesson we learn is, however far we go from Earth, we will always take our humanity with us. And that's why our message is one unity, one humanity. Let's recognize the species that we are, and let's make the most of our species in the interest, not just of all humankind, but also the cosmos. I don't see anybody else raising anything now. So if you do have anything, Sarah Clark, I'll call you a little bit later on just to send you a bit more information about what I'm planning for the US trip and the timings. And that's the one piece of homework I think I have today. So thank you very much. No other business. We'll be finished now. And I think next week's will be quite a lot longer because we're going to have that presentation from Benedetto and his team. So, oho, and we'll see you in 7 days.